All right, guys, so you see what's behind me, right? The awesome Velotric Nomad. And let me tell you what, this bike is really awesome. So in our last video, I did the quick unboxing, and then we went and took a little ride and checked some things out. But this video, we're going to go through some of the assembly. Now, I am going to recommend that you turn the bike upside down to do this part here, which is putting on the tire. That's the first thing that we're going to do. There's nothing really to assembling this bike, and even Range likes it. There's nothing to assembling this bike. It's very simple. All you have is you have the tire, you have the display, you have the pedals. I think, yeah, the seat's already on there. And you got to put the headlight on and the fender. I didn't even put the fender on. I didn't care for it. But we'll stick it on here right now anyway. But yeah, but there's a little key part right here when you're putting on the tire that I want to show you to prevent you having any issues with any brake rub. Okay, so when you get the bike, when you take it out of the box, the tire is just going to be like this with the bolts on it on both sides. Okay, so let me move the camera a little bit closer so you can see this a little bit better. What you want to do is you want to take the bolts off of the threaded rod. Then what you want to do here is you want to set the tire on the forks. And you of course want to do it with the disc on the side where the caliper is. Okay, so that makes a big difference. Okay, so there it goes. Now, we are going to spin it here. You see this? Now, there is a extremely small bit of slop in the bolts. So if you spin it, you want to listen for the brake rubbing. Like right there, I can hear it rubbing a little bit. But then once I push this rod over just that little hair, the rubbing completely stops. So now I have it centered. And I know it's perfectly centered. If you do it the other way where somebody holds the bike up for you and you drop the forks down on it, you're not going to be able to test this. So now I know I want to tighten up this bolt first. So you just slip the washer on and slip on the bolt. Perfect. Perfecto. Yeah, you're not going to be able to test that by dropping the forks on. And don't get too carried away by tightening these bolts, okay? Don't think you need to be Hercules putting these suckers on here, because you don't. Just has a little hair in there. Oh, that's nice. Not one bit of rubbing going on there, none. Yeah, so you don't want to crack the fork, okay? So you don't want to get carried away doing this. And like I said, the only way you can do it and check this noise, this rubbing, is to do it this way. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So you just jog it back and forth when you're tightening the bolts up. And just make sure the rubbing is gone. So that's great right there, man. Wow. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video right now and then we'll flip the camera around. We're going to spin the bike over and I'll show you how to put the pedals on and all that stuff. Alright guys, so while you're assembling your bike, all you have to do is pull out the box, the toolkit box, and remove the battery off of the bike stem. And you might as well get this charged up while you are, you know, assembling your bike. So, and with this charger, all you have to do is the little part on here, the flat part, that goes, it's hard to see it, but there's a little flat part on this, and that just goes on the top. So you bring the battery over here, find the top, and just plug the charger in like that. And then while you're charging up the battery, the red light will come on, and when it's done it turns green. And now don't forget, you get these 2 keys with the battery, but remember, these keys have nothing to do with turning the bike on or off. You can ride the bike without. These are just for locking and unlocking the battery onto the frame. Okay, so that's what those are for. It has nothing to do with the operation of the bike. Alright, so here's the pedal wrench they give you to put the pedals on with. And you see on here, it has a letter, R. So you just find the R, the corresponding pedal, and it has the arrow, and it tells you that this is a clockwise thread. All right. These are real nice pedals, by the way. Now, usually I buy folding pedals for my bikes, but since I'm probably not going to be able to fit this in the car, I'm probably just going to leave these on here for right now. And so for the left-handed one, you just go in the opposite direction. Alright guys, so there you go with that. Now I am going to flip the bike over. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you how to hook up the kickstand. It's the biggest, gnarliest kickstand I ever seen. Wow, this thing's pretty awesome. Anyway, so it has a little self-adjusting thing here. You can loosen this up and raise it or lower it to whatever angle you want the bike when you tip it. I just left it the way they had it. It was fine for me. So anyway, it uses 2 5mm screws, and there is some Loctite on them. Now, all the tools you need to do all of this are all included in the toolkit. I mean, this is just my preference to use these T-handle ones, but they give you plenty of tools in here to take care of this stuff. Now, when you're putting these on, they seem like they're a little bit tight when you're putting, that's the Loctite that's on the screw heads. Okay, it's making it seem like it's cross-threading or something. It's not. It's just hard to get them on because of the Loctite. Right, so there it is. Perfect. No problem. Alright guys, so now we're going to do the headlight and fender installation, which the headlight's already on, but I'm just going to take it off real quick. It's just one bolt here in the front, and it's that same one, the 5mm. Alright, so the headlight, it plugs in right here. You just line the pins up and put them on there. Now the fender, you're going to have to put it on and bring it through the back. So just hold the light out of the way there. Bring the fender in like this. So then once you get the fender sitting there, then you put the light on. And this is actually pretty cumbersome, to be honest with you. This is harder than putting on the tire, actually. So you run the screw through here. Then when you get that on there, you mount the fender on the back of that screw, and then you got the washer and the nut, and you put that on there. You get that sitting up. Okay, that looks pretty straight. Yeah, it's just a real tight fit back here putting this on. And then so the finishing touches, you're going to have to tighten up with the box end of the wrench back here through the back, because if you turn the screw in the front, it'll make the light turn. So since you don't want to do that, you have to use the box end of the wrench in the back. And then you got to put there's a couple of screws here. I don't think those are 5s. 4mm to hook on this. Yeah, I like those T-handles, but those are for the cramped quarters. They're not that hot. Okay, so you're going to put this on like this, and you just repeat the process for the other side. All right, we got to mount the display now, and that's very simple also. There's the display right there, and it has 2 wires. It has a green, which goes to the green, and it has a light blue one there that goes to the light blue one. There's the light blue and there's the green one. So anyway, you just put the clamps on here. They're pretty flexible. And just make sure you get it before you get it all the way tight. You get it into the position you want it. I think that's good for me. We'll know when we turn it on, okay? And then you just want to hook the plugs up. And those are pretty simple. So you got the green one here, and you just line up the notches. There's a little notch in there, and you just line the notches up. Okay, so we got that one in. And we got that one in. Then they give you this little wrap with it to wrap it up. So I got it kind of wrapped the way I want it, so I'm just going to leave mine like that. Alright guys, so let's go get our battery and pop it on there. Alrighty, so there it goes. Now, you don't need the key anymore. Okay, you can take the key out. Alright, so there that goes. Alright guys, so now we're going to get to the handlebar situation. Okay, so now Velotric recommends that you unbolt this, the place where you hook the handlebars to. They recommend you turn this around the other way. You see how I have mine facing this way. And the reason I have it like that is because I can sit up straighter. Now, I had it turned around. I gave it a little test ride, and it doesn't affect the performance at all. It just, to me, it's just a preference. It doesn't affect the handling whatsoever. So that's the way I like it. That way I can sit up straighter because I'm short. I'm only 5'7". I would suggest that if you were some kind of 6'2" person, you could turn that around. So that would make it to where the handlebars are like this. It would make them sit what would be like 3 inches more forward. But I don't see any difference whatsoever in the way it handles. It seems to be the exact same to me. So that's that. Alright, so in the manual, now I finally found a way to make the screen dim so where you can record it, okay? You can do that by hitting the light, turning the light on and off, which is the plus button. So I press if I turn the light off, the screen gets extremely bright. And I can't record like that, okay? So we're going to turn the lights on. There they are there. And that way we can record the screen. So anyway, so in the manual, it says that it has 3 speeds, but this thing has 5. Okay, so that might have been the manual for their previous bike. Now, They contacted me and let me and told me that they are going to be updating the manual. Okay, so you're not going to have any issue with that in the future. They're going to update the manual. So the speeds are on this thing is 1 is going to be 10 miles an hour. 2 is, say, 12 miles an hour. 3 is 15 miles an hour. 4 is 17 miles an hour, and 5 is around 21 miles an hour. Those are the speeds. Now, Velotric did send me an email letting me know there is an unlock feature on here to take this into class 3 for 25 miles an hour. Now, if you would like to do that, I can't tell you what it is, but you can contact customer service at Velotric.com and ask them for the unlock code. All right, so that's how that goes. So that's about it as far as that goes. And then you got your gears over here, the ones in the back, the upshift, and the one in the front, downshifts. Then you got your throttle over here, which I'm not going to do anything because it's running. Okay, we're going to put that to pedal assist 0. There's your throttle right there. Here's your bell. Oh, I did have to put the bell on, but you know, that's just to put a screw in there. No big deal. But the rest of it's done. I do notice the fender's a little cockeyed there, so I'm going to have to straighten that out, but no big deal. I think it's just the light bolt. I just loosen that a little bit and slide it over. Okay, so other than that, yeah, it's really good. It's really nice. Now, I will say the one thing that I did notice, which was not a plus, okay? I mean, so far, this bike has been absolutely perfect. But one thing I did notice is that the battery charger got very hot. And I would recommend the Velotric, if you're going to sell a premium product like this, you want to get a battery charger that has a fan in it. Okay, so the battery charger got pretty hot. So definitely do not leave that thing unattended if you're charging the battery. I mean, it didn't get extremely hot like some of these other ones, but it got pretty warm. So just keep that in mind when you're charging this. And you should never leave these things alone when you're charging them to begin with. But, you know, people do stuff like that. So, all right, guys, there you go. There was the overview and the assembly. And I'm telling you, it's fantastic, man. I love the hell out of this thing, boy. We're going to take a lot of rides with this thing. All right, guys, have a nice day. All right, one thing I did forget real quick was the walk mode. If you hit the minus button down here, and I mentioned this in my other video too, one of my other videos. If you press the minus button, hold it in, this little guy will show up on the screen, and that's the walk mode. It goes a couple miles an hour, so you can walk the bike, so you don't have to push it. All right.
That's all, folks.